So, close your eyes, or not, whatever you prefer. Take a deep breath. And for a moment, just center your energy. Center yourself. Be here, be now. Be aware of your body. Your, in a sense, anchor point in physical reality. Just be present to this moment. Notice how you're effortlessly observing my voice. The sound of my voice is being perceived. That is because you are effortless consciousness. A consciousness you cannot change. It's a consciousness you cannot not be. You can change its quality. You can change its frequency, its state of being. But you cannot change the fact that you are. You cannot cease to exist. You cannot stop registering that you are and that my voice is reaching your ears at this point. So just stay to yourself internally. I am here. I am now. Life is filled with appearances that come and go. Come and go. Thoughts come and go. Emotions come and go. People come and go. Circumstances come and go. But I am. I remain. I abide. I cannot change. I cannot be undone. The I exist will always be I exist. I am will always be I am. The I am may change form, but the I am will always be I am. So now that you are centered on your I am consciousness for a moment, I'll take you briefly through the see it, feel it, and be it process. So go back to what I first asked you, which is, what is that core frequency? That true state of you? What is the true you? In a sense, what are you here to explore more of? What type of energy, what type of experiences, what quality of experience are you here to explore more of and share more of, and therefore become more of, become more embodied in, become more realized in, become more a master of? What quality of experience are you here to explore and embody? See it, imagine it. What would it be like? What would it feel like? Imagine yourself completely embodying that quality throughout everyday experiences. And imagine it in your most exciting setting or environment or scenario. Imagine your most exciting scenario. Even if it's not specific, just get a feeling for it. But if it is specific, then use that. What would be the most exciting scenario for you? The most exciting circumstance for you to fully manifest your chosen quality of being into? What would that be like? What would that look like? See it. Make it detailed. Go from detail to detail to detail, and notice back and forth all the time how you are present in that experience and how you are immensely enjoying that experience, that flow, that seamlessness between who you are and who your circumstances have become, what your circumstances have become like. They have become an immediate extension of who you are. They have become a very clear reflection of your true heart's desire to express itself in a certain quality, through a certain quality of experience. So experience that, feel that, now that you're seeing it very clearly in your mind's eye, in your imagination. The more clearly you picture that, you will find that you are, as you're tuning into that with your imagination, which works like a tuning fork, like an antenna, tuning into different parallel realities. The more you tune into that chosen vision of yourself and your environment, the more you start to download feelings that belong to that reality, that belong to that parallel self of yours. The parallel self already exists, make no mistake. If it wouldn't, you would not be able to know about it. You would not be able to imagine it. You would not be able to desire it. Anything you desire is already hidden inside of your consciousness as a potential projection of who you are. So imagine it. In other words, tune into that parallel self hidden inside of your own consciousness and clear it up. See it as clearly as you can. Imagine the circumstance. Imagine the feeling you have. And you will start to notice that that feeling starts to trickle down into your present sense of self. As you're sitting here, perhaps an inner smile starts to occur. A sense of radiance. A sense of empowerment. A sense of embodying that quality that you're imagining. At some point you simply start to feel it. And always as you're seeing, as you're imagining your ideal version of yourself, bring into the mix the knowledge that this is actually possible, otherwise you would not be able to tune into it. If you're able to tune into it, if you're able to imagine it, it must be within your frequency range of what's possible for you to make manifest. So bring with you the feeling that what you're seeing is actually possible. It's actually highly probable for you if you let it in. If you allow it to become manifest, it's actually highly certain that this will become who you are, and that is exciting. And as soon as what you're seeing becomes exciting to you, you start to feel it. It starts to make that connection to this reality. So you're, in a sense, connecting two parallel realities to each other. This one, the one that you've assumed yourself to be at this timing, and the one you've not yet fully assumed yourself to be, but which you have the ability to access through consciousness, through imagination. So now you start feeling it, you start downloading it, you start making that connection. You start to actually connect to that portion of yourself which is more exciting to you than the portion you've generated out of your past thoughts, emotions, and beliefs. Now you start shifting your paradigm, your vision of yourself, your understanding of who you are, who you desire to be, and how you'll respond in circumstances, and to circumstances. You'll notice that that new version of yourself is way bolder, it's way freer. It's way less tied down into specifics. It doesn't really care about specifics because it's so fulfilled with its state of being, with its state of empowerment, with its desire, with its excitement, that with respect to all other beings, you know that you can very beautifully, very powerfully, very palpably manifest this version of yourself. So now that you are excited about that version of yourself, it starts to feel more real, more probable. As soon as it starts to feel more probable, you start to, again, download it into your present sense of self. More accurately speaking, you start to shift into that parallel reality and leave this one behind. That's when you start to feel it, when you start to bridge, when you start to shift to there, from this reality to that reality. That's when you get really excited. And then, as you feel it, become that state of being, become that frequency, embody it, anchor it in. Know that this is who you are, know that there is nothing that can take this away from you, except your own belief systems, which you have the power to transform anyway, so even that cannot stop you, even that cannot actually prevent you from becoming the purest state of yourself. So as you start to feel it, and you start to choose to actually be it and become it, you have to realize one thing, that your behavior needs to change accordingly. Your mode of being, the way you carry yourself throughout life, needs to reflect this vision of yourself. It cannot be the way you've behaved up until this point. Because if you do, then you will not anchor this into your physical manifestation dream reality. It will remain an exciting vision, which is great, it's better than nothing. But it can also just be a big tease that never fully comes about. And the joy of being a co-creator of existence is to make it complete, to complete that circle of creation, from non-physical all the way down into the seemingly physical nature of reality. So how does that version of yourself, in that environment, in that perfect, beautiful environment, how does that being respond? How does that being see things, everyday things? How does it experience things? Does it have the same thoughts? Does it doubt as much as you perhaps presently do? Does it hesitate as much as perhaps you presently do? Or does it just see more of what it desires? Does it just perceive its preference, and that's what it acts upon? That's what it acts from. That's how it acts as. So how does that version act differently than this version? The moment you start integrating that behavior, that sense of being from that alternate, imagined version of yourself, you start to actually become more that version and less of this version. And then what happens is that you start to inherit that version's reality and leave behind this version's reality. So become it. Know that you are it. Exude it. Think it. Feel it. Be it. Believe it. Act accordingly. Behave as if you are already that version. See only your preference. See only your preference. See only what you prefer to see. See things as you prefer to see them. Behave as you prefer to behave, regardless of what's occurring. Feel as you prefer to feel, regardless of what's happening. Disregard your circumstances, they are a reflection of you. Stop adjusting to what's always adjusting to you. Accept the natural order of creation, which is state of being first, environment second, experiences second. They follow your frequency, your choice, your beingness. So let your I am be colored with the preference of your choice. Only commit to this. Try it out. If you don't trust the process, try it out for a day. Try it out for an evening. Try it out tonight. If you can conjure up that amount of attention span, try it out for tonight. It's not too much. Try it out tonight. Just put your ideas on hold. Put your doubts on hold and try it out. See what it feels like to feel only as you wish to feel and disregard what everyone else thinks, what they say, what they look like, how they behave towards you, how circumstances seem to indicate you should feel. Disregard all of that for this night and only tune into, only see, feel, and be the imagination of your choice, the frequency of your choice. Disregard all else. Try it out. Activate yourself, empower yourself in this way. It's one of the most immediate ways. If you can do this, then a lot of your questions will simply fade away. They become irrelevant. You only have questions because you believe you can't be who you wish to be. You can't have what you believe you desire. But as soon as you start to decide who you are, tune into what feels the truest for you and become that being, then all questions become naturally answered. And you stop doubting yourself. Why would you doubt yourself if instead you can simply paste onto this experience whatever state you wish to paste onto it? And just like a canvas, you don't like what you painted, just paint over it, and paint over it again, and paint over it again, paint over it again. Does the canvas become too thick and too heavy because of all the layers? Throw it out, get a new canvas, start fresh, and do the same thing. Don't like what you see, or like half of what you see, change the other half. Suddenly it doesn't make sense anymore, paint over it all over again. Do this constantly. Generate your reality in this way by seeing only what you prefer to see. That is how you paint. When you keep in your mind's eye what you prefer to see, that's quite literally how you energetically splash your paint onto this reality. When you choose to just be random and confused and let other people decide for you who you are, let thoughts, random thoughts you picked up along the way as a kid, choose who you are, then of course life is going to look like a chaotic mess. Because that's what you're exuding, that's what you're painting. What you see is who you are. So change who you are by seeing something else, then feeling that something else, and then becoming that something else. And then externally, you will start to see the reflection of that new being. But first, You have to generate what you wish to see out there on the non-physical plane of consciousness, which we know as imagination. You see it, you feel it, and you be it. That's how you imagineer your life. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It has always been this easy. You have always already done this. This is not a new process. You don't even necessarily need training. You don't need training in creating your environment, because that's what you're doing right now. Otherwise, you would not have this experience of me speaking to you. Right now, you're placing all these molecules exactly where they are. I know it's hard to believe, but it's true. Reality is shaped by consciousness. There is no reality apart from consciousness. There's never been found to be a reality outside of consciousness. And consciousness immediately influences everything that appears within it, like in your dream at night. So you don't need training to become a vehicle of manifestation, because obviously you're manifesting this moment very effortlessly. You don't even know you're doing it. It's quite amazing. But you are, so that you can have this experience of your own reality. But first, before you can have an experience of a reality, you first have to place it there. You first have to put it right in front of your feet, in front of your eyes. And that's what you're doing all the time on a different level of your consciousness, which you call unconscious, or the unconscious mind. But really, it's a higher conscious mind. It simply is unconscious to our conscious mind, because our conscious mind is of a lower frequency, so it's not conscious of the higher consciousness. Therefore, to our conscious mind, it's called the unconscious mind. But really, what's unconscious to us is very, very highly conscious on its own level. And sometimes we have glimpses of that. We call that awakening moments, or glimpses of God, or whatever you want to call it. Experiencing like life is a dream, a lucid waking dream. And these experiences can become more integrated. They can become more constant. They can become more a natural part of your state of being, of your understanding of how reality works. So again, you don't need training in manifesting. You can't train, you can't become better at that. You're perfect at it. Perfect, absolutely flawless. So flawless that you don't even notice you're doing it. That's how constantly you're placing in front of your eyes this new parallel reality that then moves and moves and moves and moves and moves and moves and moves, and something else happens and something else happens. All the time you're doing this perfectly, flawlessly. You can't improve upon this. What you need training in is to learn to not be in a numbed down state of not knowing who you are. All you need to do is know who you are, know yourself. And how do you know yourself? By deciding who you are. Not by figuring it out so much. That's overrated. If you are in the state of figuring out who you are, I promise you, you will always be in some version of that state. At some point you have to say, fuck it. I'm gonna decide who I am. I'm gonna decide who I am. And through deciding who you are, you will find out more of who you actually are. Because as you choose to manifest your reality more consciously, as you choose to paste your preference onto everything you see, as you choose to become fearless and bold and stop listening to other things, what happens is that through that defining, more conscious process, you start to feel yourself as being the painter of your creation. And what happens is that very acutely you start to feel what resonates and what does not resonate. And so through that contrast, you start to know who you actually are, but not by sitting down and having all the questions from your childhood come up and then try to figure out through that mess who you are. You need to first become more specific, more precise, more decisive, more determined. You need to choose who it is you wish to be. What do you base that off of? Of your best knowledge available to you at this moment, which requires only one question. What excites me the most at this time? That is the clearest vision you have for who you actually are. That's your guidance line into more of who you truly are, beyond just this physical mind-based consciousness. So then tune into that reality, see it, imagine it, then feel it. And then as you feel it, you start to become it and behave as if you are that. And then you start to create your reality accordingly. It becomes a reflection of your beingness. And then, as you manifest who you are, suddenly you sense, oh, wait a second, I feel a little misalignment right there. That doesn't feel quite like it's me, like it belongs here. It doesn't quite feel like that's who I wish to be. All right, great. Based on this newfound knowledge of who I am, not through trying to figure it out, but simply by choosing who I am, what happened is that now I'm clearer on what resonates and what does not, which is another way of saying I'm clearer on who I am and who I'm not. And so now in the next wave of creation, in the next wave of seeing it, feeling it, pasting it onto everything you see and being it, you take that into consideration. That now becomes part of your energy equation, of the totality of your state of being. It's now altered slightly. It's now become a little wiser, a little more loving, a little more expanded, a little more clear-minded, a little more aligned to your true higher self in that sense. And so now that you are clearer, it becomes even easier and even more exciting to see it, feel it, and be it, and then paste it onto everything until you see it also out there. And then when you've painted it, you can take that step back again, that integration moment, and witness what feels good and what does not feel good, and then paint over the aspects that don't feel good. And you keep recreating this process and fine-tuning, and this is an endless journey. But in that journey, at least you're becoming more and 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 more of who you truly are, more so than you can ever imagine from your present state. You will blow your mind over and over and over again, discovering more of who you are through the process of deciding and determining who you are. Even if you're not even sure whether that's truly who you are, it doesn't matter. You're only going to find it out by trying it out. So if you want to know who you are, try out one version that excites you the most at this point, and then you'll see what about it truly is exciting, what about it truly feels in integrity and in alignment with your true being, and what from that is simply old school thinking, old school believing, old school feeling, old school being. And then you recreate that, you regenerate that. Does that make sense? This process, constantly painting your reality, constantly painting your reality, sees waiting. Waiting is for losers, respectfully so. And by losers, I mean people that will not ever discover who they are, because they won't find out, because you can't find out from asking questions. You have to find out by determining who you are. So stop losing the game of figuring out who you are, and start actually figuring out who you are by deciding who it is that you are. Paste it onto your reality. Don't wait. What are you waiting for? What could you potentially be waiting for? If this is your creation, then does it make any sense to wait? If this is your own creation. If it's not your own creation, I completely agree. Keep on waiting, keep on questioning, keep on figuring out, keep on trying to go to a library and figure out who you are. Keep on asking other people that actually exist out there, that know how reality actually works. Yes, if that was actually the case, then that would be the way to go. I agree. But since you're placing this inside of your own consciousness all the time, and you're always guided, you're always creating your own reality, then in what way does it make sense to wait? You'd only be waiting for your own choice. You'd only be waiting until you give yourself permission to make that decision. And you may need to create all these people telling you all kinds of things for years and years and years. And you're weighing out the pros and cons of your decision, of your excitement. Shall I take this passionate decision or shall I not? All this time you're just playing a game with yourself until you give yourself permission to come to a point where you can say, okay, now I know the answer. And then you make the change. And then your reality changes. And then a new set of questions arises. This is natural. However, what I'm saying is you don't need 2 years for each and every single little decision in your life. Because you are creating those 2 years. And so you're creating a seeming stagnancy. For 2 years, a very, very similar reality. Every single day you're creating that, not realizing you're creating it. You're doing it innocently so. But you're creating the same reality every day. And then you alter it slightly and slightly and slightly every day, but so slightly that we would call it waiting. We would call it, I'm just figuring out who I am for a couple of years. Not a bad thing per se. The intention is great. But the way of going about it is not as effective as it could be. It's not as efficient. It's not as fast. So those 2 years where you place this reality in front of your own eyes all the time can also simply, in that sense, accelerate, speed up. You can start to decide something without having to need any permission from your patternized recreation of the old, of the old, of the old, of the old, until you know seemingly for sure that this is the right way to go. Again, you can't feel whether your choice is right or not until you make the choice. So many people wait to feel right about their choice, and then they make the choice. And then it still doesn't feel right. Now you waited 2 years. Congratulations. But you can also simply make that choice, not care about whether or not it is completely in alignment with who you truly are. Of course, honor your integrity, honor everyone's free will, be respectful. But I mean, you don't ever have to break the laws of integrity in order to be who you want to be. You never have to do that. People often think that they do, but you don't. There's always that third unseen option. Usually people think, okay, either I follow my heart and I break yours, or I stay in the reality I don't want to stay in. I keep myself small. But at least I'll be respectful. At least I'll live with integrity. That's not integrity. Keeping yourself limited is not integrity. You're here to be free. You're here to generate your reality. So if there's seemingly only two options, either lose your integrity and follow your heart, or keep your integrity and don't follow your heart, then ask yourself for that higher, third, unseen, more creative option that comes from a higher dimensional way of thinking outside of the box.